If you've ever had a manifestation come to you so easily that it almost felt like cheating, you know the strange mix of excitement and suspicion that follows. Part of you is thrilled that it worked, but another part can't help wondering if it was just a coincidence, if it's too good to be true, or if the universe is somehow going to demand payment later. Here's what I need you to understand. That ease you're feeling isn't a red flag. It's exactly how manifestation is supposed to work when you're aligned with the natural flow of creation. The reason this feels so unreal is because you've been conditioned to believe that anything worthwhile must require struggle, sacrifice, and years of grinding. But what if I told you that difficulty isn't a requirement for worthiness? It's actually a sign that you've been working against natural law instead of with it? What if effortless manifestation isn't advanced spiritual bypassing, but the most natural way to create, because it's how everything in the universe actually works? Before we dive deep into this, I want to know, have you ever experienced something manifesting so easily that it made you doubt whether you deserved it? Drop a comment below and share your experience, because I guarantee you're not alone in feeling this way. And if this resonates with you already, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we're about to explore territory that most spiritual teachers won't touch. The radical idea that your desires want to come to you effortlessly, and the only thing standing in the way is your belief that they shouldn't. Here's the controversial truth that changes everything. The quantum energy shift that creates lasting transformation doesn't happen through force, willpower, or complex techniques. It happens through the radical identity shift spirituality of becoming someone who expects ease rather than someone who expects struggle. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover why this approach works, how to trust it even when it feels too good to be true, and the specific practices that can make effortless receiving your new normal. There's something almost suspicious about how simple, effortless manifestation can feel once someone gets the hang of it. They've been conditioned to believe that anything worthwhile must require struggle, sacrifice, and years of hard work. So when their desires start flowing to them with ease, their mind immediately begins to question whether it's real or sustainable. This cultural programming runs deep. The idea that no pain, no gain, and that they must earn everything good in their lives through blood, sweat, and tears. When manifestation starts feeling natural and flowing, like breathing or walking, their ego mind panics because it's been programmed to associate struggle with worthiness. The easier it gets, the more their old identity rebels against this new way of being, creating internal resistance to the very thing they've been asking for. What they don't realize is that this ease is actually the natural state of creation, not the exception to it. Everything in nature manifests effortlessly. Flowers don't struggle to bloom, rivers don't fight to flow downhill, and their heart doesn't strain to beat. The struggle they've associated with manifestation is actually evidence that they've been working against natural law rather than with it. When they align with the quantum energy shift that occurs when they release resistance, manifestation becomes as natural as any other biological function. They're not cheating or taking a shortcut. They're finally operating according to how consciousness and energy actually work instead of how they were taught it should work. This realization can be both liberating and terrifying because it means most of their previous efforts were based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how reality is created. The truth that changes everything is recognizing that difficulty is not a requirement for validity. It's actually a sign of misalignment. When they're truly aligned with their desires and their authentic self, the path opens effortlessly because they're no longer swimming against the current of their own nature. The universe isn't testing their dedication through obstacles. It's trying to deliver their good through the path of least resistance, and that path becomes available the moment they stop insisting it should be harder. This identity shift spirituality, from struggle-based to flow-based living, requires them to question everything they've been taught about how life works. The ease isn't a red flag. It's a green light from the universe that they're finally on the right track and can trust the process completely. The moment someone stops trying to push their manifestations into existence and starts allowing them to flow naturally, they discover what I call the quantum shortcut, a direct path to their desires that bypasses all the struggle and complexity they thought was necessary. This isn't about being passive or giving up on their goals. It's about understanding that energy moves most efficiently when it's not being forced into predetermined channels. Think of it like water flowing down a mountain. It doesn't fight against the rocks or try to go uphill. It simply finds the easiest path and moves with natural momentum. When they apply this same principle to effortless manifestation, they discover that their desires can reach them through routes they never could have planned or imagined, often in ways that feel almost magical in their simplicity and perfection. The quantum shortcut works because it aligns with the fundamental nature of energy itself, which always seeks the path of least resistance. When they're forcing, pushing, and trying to control every aspect of their manifestation, they're creating energetic friction that slows down or blocks the very thing they're trying to achieve. But when they can hold their vision clearly, while remaining completely open to how it manifests, they create what physicists call a quantum tunnel, a direct passage between their current reality and their desired reality that sidesteps all the apparent obstacles. This quantum energy shift happens instantaneously at the consciousness level, even though the physical manifestation might take some time to catch up. The shortcut isn't about speeding up time. It's about removing the detours and roadblocks they've been unconsciously creating through their resistance and attachment. What makes this approach so powerful is that it works with the intelligence of the universe rather than against it, tapping into an organizational force that's infinitely more sophisticated than their logical mind. When they stop micromanaging their manifestations and start trusting the process, they gain access to synchronicities, opportunities, and resources that were always available but hidden by their need to control. The universe begins to orchestrate. Events move people and align circumstances in ways that feel almost too perfect to be coincidental. This is the identity shift spirituality, from being a person who forces things to happen to being a person who allows things to happen. And this shift alone can collapse years of struggle into moments of effortless receiving. The shortcut was always there. They just had to get out of their own way to find it. The most profound transformation someone can make is shifting their identity from someone who believes they have to earn their desires through struggle to someone who knows they're worthy of receiving simply because they exist. This identity shift spirituality goes against everything most people have been taught about how life works, but it's the key to unlocking effortless manifestation. Their old identity was built on the premise that they had to prove their worthiness through hard work, sacrifice, and overcoming obstacles, which created a perpetual cycle of creating problems just so they could solve them. But their new identity operates from the understanding that they're inherently worthy of all the good life has to offer, not because of what they've done, but because of who they are at their core, pure consciousness, expressing itself in physical form. This identity shift isn't about becoming lazy or entitled. It's about recognizing that their worthiness isn't based on external achievements, but on their intrinsic nature as conscious beings. When they truly embody this new identity, they stop creating unnecessary drama and obstacles in their lives because they no longer need these challenges to prove their value. Instead of asking, "How can I earn this?" they start asking, "How can I allow this?" This simple shift in perspective opens up entirely new pathways for receiving that were previously blocked by their need to struggle. They might find that opportunities they've been chasing for years suddenly become available, that people they've been trying to impress start seeking them out, or that resources they thought were scarce begin flowing abundantly without any extra effort on their part. The practical application of this new identity means catching themselves whenever they default to struggle mode and consciously choosing ease instead. When they notice themselves working harder rather than working smarter, forcing conversations rather than allowing natural connection, or creating complexity where simplicity would work better, they can pause and ask, how would someone who knows they're worthy handle this situation? This question alone can trigger a quantum energy shift that instantly changes their approach and their results. The goal isn't to avoid all effort or challenge, but to distinguish between inspired action that feels energizing and resistant action that feels draining. Their new identity naturally gravitates toward inspired action because it knows that the universe is always supporting their highest good, not testing their determination through unnecessary hardship. The most advanced manifestors have mastered the art of simplicity. They've learned that the most powerful manifestation techniques are often the simplest ones, and that complexity is usually a sign of resistance rather than sophistication. While beginners pile on technique after technique, trying to force outcomes through sheer volume of effort, masters have discovered that a single, clean intention, held with complete trust, can move mountains. This isn't because they've learned more complex methods. It's because they've learned to remove the internal resistance that makes simple methods feel insufficient. The effortless manifestation they experience isn't the result of finding the perfect technique. It's the result of releasing the belief that manifestation should be complicated, difficult, or require special skills that only a few people possess. Resistance often disguises itself as the need to do more, try harder, or find the right technique that will finally make manifestation work. But resistance is actually the only thing that can block manifestation, because it's the only thing that contradicts the natural flow of creative energy. When someone is truly aligned with their desire, the simplest methods work because there's no internal conflict blocking the flow. They might find that just feeling grateful consistently creates more results than elaborate visualization techniques, or that a simple daily affirmation works better than complex scripting exercises. This isn't because some techniques are superior to others. It's because their simplified approach indicates they've achieved the internal alignment that makes any technique effective. The simplicity is a byproduct of their lack of resistance, not the cause of their success. What makes simplicity so advanced is that it requires complete trust in the process, which is something most people have to develop over time through experience and practice. It takes courage to let go of the elaborate systems and complicated processes they think they need and trust that something as simple as feeling good consistently can transform their entire reality. This quantum energy shift from complication to simplification is often the final breakthrough that takes someone from occasional manifestation to consistent creation. They discover that they don't need to understand how manifestation works at a technical level. They just need to align with it at an energetic level. This identity shifts spirituality from student to practitioner, from someone who's learning about manifestation to someone who's living it, naturally leads to simpler approaches that produce more consistent results with less effort and more joy. The most powerful practice for creating instant effortless manifestation is what I call the morning alignment switch, a simple 5-minute routine that shifts their entire energetic signature from whatever they were yesterday to who they're choosing to be today. This isn't meditation or visualization in the traditional sense. It's an active process of consciously selecting their frequency for the day by connecting with the feeling of their desires already being fulfilled. They sit quietly for a few minutes, take 3 deep breaths to center themselves, and then spend the remaining time simply feeling into the reality of already having everything they want, not thinking about it, not planning how to get it, not visualizing specific details, just accessing the emotional essence of fulfillment, gratitude, and peaceful satisfaction that comes with desires manifested. The key is that this practice works with the quantum field's responsiveness to present moment energy rather than trying to project into the future or fix the past. When they can genuinely access the feeling of mission accomplished first thing in the morning, they set an energetic template for their entire day that magnetizes experiences, people, and opportunities that match that frequency. This quantum energy shift happens instantly because they're not trying to create something new. They're simply aligning with a reality that already exists in the quantum field of infinite possibilities. Every time they return to this feeling throughout their day, even for just a few seconds, they're reinforcing their choice and strengthening their alignment with their desired reality. It's like tuning a radio to a specific station. The music was always there, but now they're locked onto the frequency that lets them hear it clearly. What makes this practice so effective is its simplicity and accessibility. They don't need any special skills, tools, or conditions to do it. They can access this feeling anywhere, anytime, simply by remembering what it feels like to be completely fulfilled and allowing that feeling to fill their awareness. The more they practice this energetic switch, the more natural it becomes, until eventually they're living from this frequency most of the time, rather than just visiting it during their morning practice. This gradual identity shift spirituality from occasional alignment to consistent embodiment is what transforms them from someone who manifests sometimes to someone who lives in a state of continuous creation. They're no longer trying to get somewhere. They're simply maintaining their connection to where they already are at the deepest level of their being. The ultimate secret to effortless manifestation is learning to live from the vibration of already done, rather than the vibration of not yet or trying to get. This isn't about pretending their desires have manifested when they clearly haven't. It's about accessing the energetic state of completion and fulfillment that exists independent of external circumstances. When they can genuinely feel as satisfied, grateful, and peaceful as they would if their desires had already manifested, they're broadcasting the frequency that magnetizes those experiences into their physical reality. This vibration of completion tells the universe that their desires are inevitable rather than hopeful, which activates the quantum field's organizing intelligence to arrange the necessary circumstances, people, and timing for manifestation to occur naturally. The challenge is making this already done feeling so normal and familiar that it becomes their default state rather than something they have to work to access. This requires practice and consistency, gradually training their nervous system to expect fulfillment rather than struggle, abundance rather than scarcity, love rather than loneliness. They might start by spending just a few minutes each day in this vibration, then gradually extending it to longer periods until they can maintain it even during challenging circumstances. The goal isn't to maintain it perfectly 24/7, which would be impossible, but to return to it more often than they default to anxiety, doubt, or wanting. This quantum energy shift from occasional alignment to consistent embodiment is what creates the momentum that eventually collapses their desires into physical reality. What transforms this from a practice into a way of life is realizing that the already done vibration feels better than any external manifestation ever could. They discover that the feeling of being fulfilled is actually more satisfying than getting the things they thought would fulfill them, which liberates them from the desperate need for external validation. This identity shift spirituality from seeker to finder, from someone who's waiting for their life to begin to someone who's already living it, creates an energetic magnetism that's irresistible to the quantum field. They become like a tuning fork that's vibrating at the frequency of their desires, causing everything around them to resonate with that same frequency. This is when manifestation stops feeling like something they do and starts feeling like something they are, a natural expression of their authentic energetic signature rather than a technique they have to remember to practice. The deepest block to effortless manifestation isn't lack of technique or knowledge. It's the subconscious programming that says they have to earn, deserve, or prove themselves worthy of receiving good things. This programming was installed early in life through well-meaning parents, teachers, and society, who taught them that rewards come after work, that they must pay their dues before receiving benefits, and that anything given freely must be too good to be true. While these beliefs might have some practical value in certain contexts, they become obstacles to manifestation because the quantum field doesn't operate on a merit system. It operates on a resonance system, giving them experiences that match their vibrational frequency, regardless of whether they've earned them according to conventional standards. Rewiring this programming requires consistent practice of receiving without earning, allowing without deserving, and accepting without guilt. They can start small by receiving compliments without deflecting them, accepting help without feeling obligated to reciprocate immediately, or allowing themselves to enjoy something beautiful without justifying why they deserve it. Each time they practice receiving freely, they're updating their subconscious programming to recognize that worthiness is their birthright, not something they have to achieve. This quantum energy shift from earning-based to being-based receiving gradually dissolves the internal resistance that has been blocking their manifestations and opens up pathways for good to flow to them through grace rather than effort. The transformation is complete when they can receive abundantly without any guilt, shame, or sense of obligation, when getting everything they want feels as natural as breathing or their heart beating. This doesn't make them selfish or entitled. It makes them aligned with the natural flow of creation, which seeks to express itself through every conscious being without requiring payment or proof of worthiness. This identity shift spirituality from someone who must earn their good to someone who naturally receives it is perhaps the most profound change they can make, because it affects not just what they manifest, but how they experience everything they receive. They stop waiting for the other shoe to drop and learn to trust that good things can keep coming simply because they're open to receiving them. This openness becomes a magnet for even more abundance, creating an upward spiral of increasing ease and joy in all areas of their life. The ultimate mastery of manifestation comes when someone can create from a place of peace and trust rather than urgency and pressure. This effortless manifestation isn't about being passive or uncaring about their desires. It's about holding their intentions lightly while remaining completely confident in their fulfillment. They've learned that desperation repels what they want while peaceful expectation attracts it, so they consciously choose to approach their desires from a state of calm certainty rather than anxious attachment. This shift from pressure to peace often produces the most dramatic results, because it removes all the energetic static that was interfering with their signal to the universe. When they can truly let go of the timeline, the method, and the need to control how their desires manifest, they create space for the universe to deliver in ways that exceed their expectations. Trusting the process becomes easier when they recognize that their desires didn't originate from their ego. They came through their ego from their higher self, which already knows the perfect timing and method for their fulfillment. Their job isn't to figure out how to make their desires happen. Their job is to maintain alignment with the frequency of those desires and trust that the universe's intelligence is already orchestrating their manifestation behind the scenes. This quantum energy shift, from efforting to allowing, from pushing to flowing, from trying to being, creates a natural rhythm that feels sustainable and joyful, rather than exhausting and stressful. They discover that manifestation isn't work, it's play, a delightful dance between their consciousness and the creative force of the universe. The power of ease reveals itself most clearly in the quality of what manifests. When they create from peace, they attract peaceful experiences. When they create from joy, they attract joyful circumstances. When they create from love, they attract loving relationships. The energy they put into the creative process determines not just what they attract, but how they experience what they attract. This identity shift spirituality from pressure-based to peace-based creation transforms not just their manifestation results, but their entire relationship with desire itself. They stop seeing their desires as things they lack and start seeing them as expressions of their infinite nature, seeking to know itself more fully. This perspective makes the entire process feel like a celebration rather than a struggle. And celebration is the highest vibration from which to create anything. When manifestation becomes a joyful expression of who they are rather than a desperate attempt to get what they need, they've mastered the art of effortless manifestation completely. So here's what I need you to understand. The ease you're experiencing isn't a glitch in the matrix. It's the matrix working exactly as it was designed to work when you're finally in alignment with it. Effortless manifestation isn't about being lazy or entitled. It's about recognizing that you are the creative force of the universe, expressing itself in human form. And struggle was never meant to be part of that expression. Are you ready to release the belief that you have to earn everything good in your life through blood, sweat, and tears? Are you willing to trust that the quantum energy shift you're experiencing is real, valid, and sustainable? Because here's what I know. The moment you stop apologizing for how easy your life becomes and start celebrating it, you give permission for it to become even easier. Let me ask you this. What's the biggest block you have to accepting that good things can come to you effortlessly? What belief about struggle and worthiness are you ready to release right now so you can step fully into this new way of being? Share it in the comments, because naming these blocks is the first step to dissolving them, and I want to support your journey into effortless manifestation. And if you're serious about mastering this identity shift spirituality and learning how to live permanently in the vibration of already done, make sure you watch the video appearing on your screen right now. I'm going to reveal the 3 most common mistakes people make that keep them trapped in struggle-based manifestation. Mistakes that could be sabotaging your natural flow of abundance without you even realizing it. Remember, you didn't come to this planet to struggle your way to your dreams. You came here to experience the joy of conscious creation through ease, flow, and natural alignment with who you really are. Subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, and join me every week as we explore the deeper truths of effortless manifestation. Your breakthrough doesn't have to be hard-won. It can be as natural as breathing.